Hi, this is Dr. Greg Gillum, CEO of Human Fusion, and welcome to part 2 of the article review, Are Your High Expectations Hurting Your Team? By Ron Carucci, January 15th, 2019. In the first video, I told you how this article is near and dear to my heart because I am one of these types of leaders, sometimes pushing way too hard. And we talked about all the problems in the first video with this style of leadership, including the negative impact on morale that this article really doesn't even get into. But what can we do if we find ourselves in a situation where we know that we are a perfectionistic style leader, we know that we set very, very high standards, and maybe we feel like our team is not responding appropriately enough? Well, here's a couple of ideas that the author here puts forward. Number one is to learn how to harness your discontent. So the idea here is that maybe we should actually lower our standards, because if we continue to have very high expectations and very high standards that no one can meet, it's very difficult for people to grow and learn in those situations. And so by lowering our standards just a little bit so that people can actually meet our standards, because people want to impress, people want to please their boss. And so if they can hit your standards, then they're much more likely to be able to learn and grow when you raise them a little bit later on. So experiment a little bit with this. Maybe it's time to lower our standards just a little bit so that we can create the right environment for growth on our team. Number two idea here is never let others question their value in your view. Nothing worse than feeling like your boss doesn't value you on the team. And so as a manager, make it very, very clear to each person on an individual level what value contribution they have on your team. Make sure they know that. And that's going to really, boost their confidence and boost their motivation and drive and their ambition to work harder for you. Because if you give them positive praise and positive feedback, people will walk off the edge of the earth for you as a manager. So think about that. And then third, the other idea is to examine how and when you set your standards. So the idea here is when someone doesn't meet your expectations, creates a gap, right? So your expectations were here, their performance was here, creates a gap. Understand the gap a little bit better. So ask yourself, the next time this happens and you're immediately wanting to go into the critical feedback mode, examine two situations. So examine, did you really clearly outline the expectations? Were they crystal clear to the direct report? And then number two, was the expectation really fair based on the ability of the team, the context of the situation? So really analyze that, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure that your expectations, even if they're high, are realistic and are fair. And then the fourth anecdote that I'll put out there, it's not in the article, but I think the way I learned to get through this, I was coached by a very brilliant man who taught me how to walk through this situation with humility and just to admit to my team, hey, I know that I have a tendency to be this way, and I don't want to be that way. I want to obviously push ourselves to new heights and to new new levels of productivity and performance, but I don't want it to be, I don't want us to have a negative morale after this. And so I was coached to walk through this with a very humble spirit and with a very vulnerable attitude toward this, and it really helped me and my team face this, with a lot of grace, and we did fine, and we walked through that. I hope you enjoyed this article as much as I did. It was, again, very near and dear to my heart. And if you like management-related videos like this, please subscribe to Human Fusion, turn on your notifications, and we'll try to keep you up to date on all the latest trends that are affecting your management practice today. Thanks.